Okay, I'm here with Paul O'Brien from MediaTech Ventures. Paul,
Good to see you, Chris.
thanks for coming by.
How you doing?
Good to see you again.
We're at Austin at South by Southwest. Are you surviving well?
We are. It's although we've been around Houston House and this whole area, it feels like I'm in Houston.
It does.
They're all the usual suspects.
That's probably not what we want to have happen, right?
Yeah.
Austin's Austin, Houston's Houston. The
Yeah.
distinctions are attractive and appealing to people these days.
That's true. But that said, you came to Houston recently with what you're doing. So
Quite a
tell
bit.
me a little bit about that and why.
Why Houston?
Yeah.
We work with burgeoning startup communities to help develop them into much bigger, innovative cities and help move venture capital into the entrepreneurs' pockets. And Houston, I moved to Austin about 13 years ago out of Silicon Valley. I had no reason to move to Austin. It wasn't the hot spot that it is today. I had no reason to move to Austin other than that I loved it. And now that we've developed Austin rather substantially in that regard, we're looking to the future. We're looking for the fact that in every state, different cities play different substantial roles in innovation. And I think Houston's the next hotspot as far as Texas is concerned, probably arguably the next hotspot as far as the country is concerned, if we simply appreciate the fact that Houston and San Antonio and Austin are all within a couple of hours with each other. This is the region to be in.
Exactly. And what is it exactly you're doing in Houston?
So we do two things. We do what's considered venture development. We do a lot of work with economic development offices, with the city, with interested investors or companies in our industry. Our industry is media technology for the most part, in order to mature that side of the ecosystem. And then as a part of that, we drop in an incubator. We drop in a 3-month program that's incredibly rigorous by design. It's pre-seed. We're in the teaching business rather than the accelerator business. And so we work with founders to teach them how to develop a startup from idea to incorporation in about 13 weeks and focus on the media industry in particular so that the ecosystem there has much more sophistication of mentorship and venture capital with regard to the news business, the podcasting business, how social media works, how advertising works, because it's that industry in particular that helps everything else thrive. They're the informers, they're the communicators, they're the branding folks who help develop Houston into what it's developing into be.
If I'm a startup in Houston and I'm a media startup, I guess, how do I approach you, or what's the selection process like for you?
No, in fact, we don't have a selection process.
Okay.
That's an important distinction in my use of the word incubator versus accelerator. We don't pick who can and can't learn how to be an entrepreneur. We don't discern what startup might or might not succeed.
Okay.
We take on everybody. Whoever has an idea in the media business is welcome to come join us. And not just the ideas and the entrepreneurs, but we do the same with mentors. If you want to mentor in media innovation in Houston, call us, come join us. If you invest in the space, obviously there's room to get involved in some way. And I think that's a critical piece of developing an innovative ecosystem. I think that's part of why Houston's maturing so much and so quickly next, because you have these hubs for innovation there, and you're starting to develop more programs like yours, like mine, and that's the catalyst that fuels the economy. That's what gives the entrepreneurs the experience and the connections and the network and some perspective to not make mistakes, so that they're far more likely to be successful and have an impact.
So how many startups are in this cohort then in Houston?
We're just doing 12 in Houston this time.
Okay.
We've been running these programs for 6 or 7 years now throughout the country. We're still at the phase of we're trying to figure out whether substantially larger or quite a bit smaller is effective. So 12, 13 seems to be the right sweet spot for us.
That's a magic number.
It's the magic number, but it's the magic number because then what we also do is everyone else on the team is welcome because we're teaching.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's for the founder. If you've got a co-founder, if you've got a CTO, bring them all along, and we end up filling up the room with about 20 to 25 people anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we went through a similar process in the last year, right? So we had 5 in our first cohort. I think we had 21 in the last one.
Yeah.
In the current cohort, we have about 15. And trying to target in on that, like you said, you want enough of them so that they collaborate and can learn from each other, and but not too many to where you're maybe cutting down on the quality of the program.
Well, you could be cutting down on the quality of the program, but what we found, we're in the same vein of what people might consider more sector specific programs, and Techstars is generic. It's for everybody, and Generator is for everybody, and Mass Challenge is for everybody. In those environments, when you get too many people, you start to dilute the experience because everybody's working on different things. But in our case, everyone is in the media business in some way, and that's a broad context too. That's everything from music to advertising to news. We take it all, but there is a shared affinity in that. If you're in the advertising business, the music tech needs to understand how that works. And if you're in the news business, they're trying to figure out how to take advantage of things like video games and social media. So we end up with this nice community that seems to support bigger. But when we start, as we are in Houston, we like to start right in that middle range of 10 to 15, just to get a sense for how it's going to work and whether or not we can scale it up or we want to scale it down a little bit.
So is there, at the end of the program, are there like demo days, like a studio or accelerator normally, or how does it work once they graduate?
Yeah, great question. Because it's not like a startup studio or accelerator. We don't demo in the sense of let's get you in front of a lot of VCs because this is a 3-month-old company in most cases.
Okay.
And they're still pretty pre-seed anyway. Some might have started before they join us, but the fact is they're probably still 6 or 8 months away from meaningfully being able to raise capital.
So you're really early in this process, and these are really infant companies.
On purpose. Well, and again, we like to think of them instead as founders. We're not in the startup business so much as we're in the entrepreneur business. We want to teach people how this works. And so we do have more of a graduation. Bring your family. We bring all the companies that are in the ecosystem. We have all of our mentors there. And we do, of course, invite the VCs as well. They pitch. They do pitch. They demo. But we don't do anything so elaborate as get on stage and let's see if we can get you a check when you're 3 weeks into the start of your company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Houston could use a lot more in the media space. There's not a lot of people there other than like Natalie with Innovation Map and some of the other organizations promoting the ecosystem.
As part of the ecosystem, yes. But one of the reasons that Houston is attracting so much in tech and in Texas is actually it's cultural. That's what made Austin pop. It's cultural that entrepreneurs look for completely different experiences where the arts, where film, where music, where video games, where these kind of cultural experiences are celebrated. Entrepreneurs seek those because it's evidence that you're a city, you're a town that likes risks, likes creativity, likes people who innovate and do new things. Houston's got a huge music scene, huge music scene. As an example of that, that's what's drawing a lot of people to Houston is there's this culture there that's incredibly appealing and incredibly attractive. Believe it or not, we're actually looking at whether or not Houston is in fact a better hub for music, tech. And I say that because I live in Austin, which is the live music capital of the world. But Houston might be a better hub for music tech than Austin because there's so much more of it in Houston, just given the sheer size of the city. We lean in on that culture, fuels the entrepreneurship, and that fuels innovation.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the music space per se, but now that you mention it, I can see some of the evidence of that in the past. Of course, there's some well-known people like Beyonce, et cetera, right?
Sure.
But But so it's pretty big in Houston.
It's a much more vibrant industry. It's better developed. It's well developed, and you're known for it to some extent. The blues scene there is well known in media.
That's true.
As one of the hubs, right? Chicago, St. Louis, Houston, and it's those characteristics, like I said, that people know about generally, and that gives them in their mind a reason to think Houston, got it, or and that's what drew people to Silicon Valley was internet. Silicon Valley. Miami was the big hotspot for blockchain not too long ago and crypto before that went weird. But why? Because Miami's a great brand. It's a great town that people want to go visit. And so we lean in on what's powerful about Houston in our sector, whatever that might be, and we help that flourish.
Very interesting. Well, thanks for coming on and telling us about your perspective.
My pleasure. Good to see you.